did the UFO cover-up begin? Let's discuss. Get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments below. The other day, I did a video showing newspaper clippings and newspaper articles from the 1940s and 50s talking about UFOs and UFO sightings, and they took UFOs a lot more seriously back in the 40s and 50s, right? Isn't that wild? They talk about people going crazy and panic in the streets because of UFOs, but this is the New York Times and other major newspapers talking about this sort of thing. People weren't going crazy. They were very curious. They were looking up. They weren't going insane. Then the UFO cover-up began, and newspapers started to debunk this stuff and sneer at it. So let's go over a little bit of that. This is from Merrick VR, updated, The Dangers of Debunking. From 1947 to 1952, a whopping 33% of excellent U.A.P. reports were unknown. In 1953, the Robertson panel concluded that U.A.P. pose a national security threat and should be debunked at all costs. By 1955, only 3% of U.A.P. reports were unknown. Isn't that wild? Check it out. Yeah, that's the percentage of excellent reports, and that's all the not excellent reports. Let's see, and yeah, insufficient information and unknown astronomical balloon, all that kind of good stuff. And then we go to the educational program, right? The panels, this is the Robertson panel, the well-known Robertson panel. The panel's concept of a broad educational program integrating efforts of all concerned agencies was that it should have two major aims: training and debunking. And it goes on, the debunking aim would result in reduction in public interest in flying saucers, which today evoke a strong psychological reaction. This education could be accomplished by mass media, television, motion pictures, and popular articles. Basis of such education would be actual case histories, which had been puzzling at first but later explained. As in the case of conjuring tricks, there is much less stimulation if the secret is known. Such a program tends to reduce the current gullibility of the public and consequently their susceptibility to clever, hostile propaganda. The panel noted that the general absence of Russian propaganda based on a subject with so many obvious possibilities for exploitation might indicate a possible Russian official policy. Okay, all right, interesting. And I love how they say education. They're educating the public, not brainwashing them. They're educating them. Thank you so much, Robertson panel. And here we go, news release. Department of Defense, Office of Public Information, 1955. No evidence of the existence of the popularly termed flying saucers was found. The report was based on study and analysis by a private scientific group under the supervision of the Air Technical Intelligence Center at Dayton, Ohio. Since the investigation more than 7 years ago, methods and procedures have been so refined that of the 131 sightings reported during the first 4 months of 1955, only 3% were listed as unknown. Summary of the report is attached. So, yeah, there you go, down from in the 30-something% to 3%. By refining their methods. So that is super interesting, and that explains, possibly when the UFO cover-up began. There you go. Here's 1952. The number of unknowns were 23.25, and it dropped to 3%. Interesting. Unknown, in 53, down to 5%. It's in March. Okay, it did go up in April, interestingly, and then down again in May. That is a huge swing. Unsolved down to 11 in 1953 in June, then 8, then it swung up again to 11. unknown. These reports that contain relatively enough data to evaluate but cannot be associated with any known phenomenon or object, there is a possibility that some of these reported objects or phenomena in this category could be identified if more background data on balloon tracks, aircraft movements, etc. were available. So, I mean, from here, the tone is, sincerely trying to debunk false sightings. But is that what they were really doing? Because it was right at that time when the major newspapers that had been reporting favorably on the topic, such as the New York Times, and even decrying the cover-up already, saying the government needs to fess up on all this stuff. And I even shared with you the cartoon of the government officials swatting at UFOs, mocking the government officials who were trying to cover this stuff up. Shortly after that, the attitude in the media changed to a sneering and debunking attitude. And I've heard that one of the major reasons for that is because the UFO control group exerted a lot of influence on newspapers and the news media, bribing people, seating their own agents. If there was a UFO story they were going to cover, they would instruct people to either suppress that information or trivialize it. And that seems to be what has happened. But it's so interesting to see how the news media reported on this stuff before that, order went down. And if you haven't seen the video I made a few days ago showing those newspaper articles, go check that out, because the tone is night and day. Now, when did the cover-up really begin? Well, who knows? I think it actually began earlier than that, although maybe not in the media. But, the Smithsonian was losing their giants in the early 1900s. People that found these giants and sent them to the Smithsonian, they would say, "Hey, where'd my giant go? Well, we sent you a giant body. It was on display. Oops, we lost it." And there was, obviously reports of UFOs going back at least to the late 1800s, including a well-known UFO crash. So I think the cover-up began earlier than in 1952, but the media component of it, I think, really began in earnest after the Robertson panel. That's what it looks like to me, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up and give a shout out to Merrick VR for this great information. I would appreciate you thanking Merrick, because he did do such great work. And I would also appreciate you hitting the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos, because you don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter and Discord links below. Love to see you guys there. If you wanted to support Cosmic Road in an even bigger way, please consider becoming a channel member. See the first link in the description below, or by buying some merch. There's coffee mugs and t-shirts in the merch store below. Meanwhile, there are plenty of videos to check out on the channel. I hope you have a really great holiday season, and I'll see you soon. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.